All right, well, I'm here tonight because I want to talk about Donald Trump, President of the United States. Something that's been really weighing on me really the last couple of months. I kind of came to a realization, and that is that Trump is unstoppable. And that is the truth. Donald Trump is unstoppable, and I know to some people, they think that's a great thing. But the problem is people in this country do not understand what his policies are. So on the one end, half the country, the supporters of the president, their attitude is, well, if Trump put his name on it and he signed it, then it has to be good. It must be America first. Therefore, I don't need to look into it. I don't need to question it. It's the right thing for the country. So that's half the country. The other half of the country, what I refer to now as the alleged opposition, they they are not opposition at all. And what I mean by that is when I talk to Trump supporters and I bring up these issues, they always say, well, the media is so against him and all these entities and everyone's trying to stop him in the movies and the entertainment and the music and whatever, right? Everyone's against him. But the reality is, if you talk to anyone that really is against Trump, why are they against him in the first place? Well, they're against him because 4 years ago, he said that Mexicans were rapists, murderers, and drug dealers. That's it. There's really no other reason why they are against him. They're against Donald Trump because he's a mean-spirited, racist, bigoted old white man. That's why they're against Donald Trump. They're not against him because he's pushing because he funded the Real ID national ID card. They're not against him because during the campaign he made anti-vax statements and is now making pro-vax statements. They're not against him because he's pushing red flag laws. They're not against him for the USMCA bill that he just signed. They're not against him for pushing 5G. They're not against him for spending more than any other president than ever before him. They're not against him for growing the government more than any president before him. They're not against him for funding the military-industrial complex more than anyone has before him. They're against him because he's a racist. That's it. That is not opposition. If the opposition actually could sit down and lay out the points that I just made, we might actually be able to stop this guy a little more frequently. But instead, half the country says, well, if he did it, it must be good. The other half says, well, he's racist. So the only people that are opposing him are people like me, people like Joe, and we're the ones that are laying out the real issues. And because the opposition refuses to even look at his policy issues, all they look at is race all day long, there is no opposition because no one's actually opposing what Donald Trump is doing. So with that said, recently we've had this coronavirus thing going on, and we've also had impeachment going on. And during all of this distraction, Donald Trump signed, it was passed by the House and the Senate, and it was signed by the president. He signed the USMCA bill. USMCA is not United States Marine Corps of America. It's the United States, Mexico, and Canada agreement. So I've talked to 4 people that are, well, one that's not, but 3 others that are Trump supporters, and I asked them as a test, do you know what USMCA is? Nobody knows what this bill is.
It's a success.
It's a success, exactly. So, and I don't have the dates, off the top of my head, but on one day, the House of Representatives voted to impeach the president. Okay, so they're telling the world that he's so bad that we have to have him removed from office, that he's a criminal, and that we're indicting him, and that we have to have a trial. That's what the House of Representatives said on the day they impeached him. The very next day, that same House of Representatives, led by Nancy Pelosi, they passed Trump's USMCA bill. So if he's so bad and he has to be taken out of office, then why are they giving him his biggest legislative achievement of his presidency? The one where he's going to go out on all the rallies now and say, I got USMCA passed. And one more thing about that, too. During the campaign, very early on, Donald Trump was saying that I'm going to cancel NAFTA. I'm going to cancel it. That didn't last very long because probably someone talked to him and said, we're not going to allow you to do that. And that would have been America first canceling NAFTA. Then he changed his tune and he started saying, I'm going to renegotiate NAFTA. And that's what USMCA is. USMCA is NAFTA Part 2. Now, a lot of the Trump supporters, when I try to explain to them what this guy is doing, They either say, it depends on how sophisticated they are. The lesser sophisticated Trump supporters, they say, oh, African American unemployment is at record lows in the stock market, in the economy, and that's all they have. Because again, no one in this country actually knows what his policies are. The more sophisticated Trump supporters, they'll tell me, oh, he got us out of TPP and he got us out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, here is the con and the psy-op of Donald Trump. So during the Obama tenure, they were pushing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which if that were to have passed, that would have put the United States and I believe either 11 or 12 other Asian countries into what would be a Pacific Union, very similar to the European Union. I don't think I have to explain to anybody here what is the European Union. We would be in that kind of agreement. And everybody knew that was in the know that was going to eliminate American sovereignty. And then Hilary Clinton, there was a video of her where she said that the Trans-Pacific Partnership was the gold standard of trade deals. And that's what, and I was pushing that video like crazy because I was saying at the time, if we don't elect Trump, because Trump was against Trans-Pacific Partnership. He said on day one he would kill that deal. So day one of Trump's presidency, he actually kept his promise. He signed some kind of order saying that we're no longer in the Trans-Pacific, that we're no longer going to do it. So we're all happy. Trump gets us out of TPP at least for 4 years. And then what does he do? He does what he's been doing for the last 3 years. They took Trans-Pacific Partnership, they repackaged it, they gave it a different name, they changed the countries, and they just passed it. I also mentioned the Paris Climate Agreement because the exact same thing has happened. He signed something or an order or whatever they do saying that we're not going to participate anymore in the Paris Climate Agreement, and I'm not even sure if that's even happened or not. There was a hard deadline sometime in 2019, which has since passed, and I know for a fact that if we really got out of that, there would have been a big lefty media meltdown, which there wasn't. So I don't really know if we really got out of the Paris Climate Agreement or not. But aside from that, they then took the Paris Climate Agreement, repackaged it, renamed it, and that is in the USMCA bill. So the USMCA bill is a combination of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Paris Climate Agreement. In this bill is something called the National Infrastructure Bank. And the first time I was ever exposed to this concept was about 3 years ago. We went to an event with a local congressman, Pete Aguilar. He represents the San Bernardino County area. We went to one of his events and taped it. And in that event, he was pushing at the time, this is back when Obama was still president, he was pushing at the time something called the National Infrastructure Bank. And I went, whoa, what's that, right? And to this day, I still don't really know what that entails because it never happened back then. It was never really explained what it was, and it still has not been explained what it is. But I'm going to speculate on what it means because I'm very familiar with this world of Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and the USMCA bill is Agenda 2030. And I want to explain very briefly that most channels that I watch that discuss this issue don't know the difference between Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. They just think they're the same thing, and they're two separate programs, two separate documents. So the 21 program, the one from the early 90s, 92, that Bush got us involved in, that was all local. So when your local city council is pushing this environmental crap, that was Agenda 21. The 2030 program is when your national government and internationally it gets pushed on you, and that's what the USMCA bill is. It's part of the 2030 program. So the National Infrastructure Bank, this is what what I think they're going to do. Pretty much every city in the country is bankrupt because of pension obligations and unfunded liabilities. And so as a result, they got to take the little free grant money anytime they can. Well, I'm of the opinion that the National Infrastructure Bank is going to federalize the grant program where cities take grants. And that's what makes us part of the 2030 program. So let's say your city wants to redo the streets or they want to fix some kind of infrastructure. When they go apply for grants, they're not going to apply at a more local level. They're going to apply with the National Infrastructure Bank. And then you only get the grant if you go along with the terms of the National Infrastructure Bank. And because the National Infrastructure Bank was created in an Agenda 2030 document, that means that you have to follow Agenda 2030 protocols in order to receive that grant money. And so, like I said, almost every city in the country is bankrupt, so they have to take this money. It's literally dealing with the devil. So that's in the USMCA bill. Another thing in the bill is, and really what this whole thing is, so we're no longer going to have Pacific Union. We now have North American Union with Canada and Mexico. And it states in the bill that this is an economic merger of the three countries. We are now merged economically with the United States, or with Canada and Mexico. All you guys that are for the wall, that are against illegal immigration, the European Union, when that was created, that was about the movement of goods and people. That's what this is. This is about the movement of goods, services, and people. So if you think that we're going to stop this immigration, or illegal immigration for that matter, President Trump just completely signed the death knell of that policy. There's never going to be a wall now. There's never going to be any kind of real fight on illegal immigration. And there never will be any deportations going forward. So all you people that have been telling me lately that Trump's been great on immigration, that he's building the wall, he literally just signed away any forever. Unless they overturn this document, they're never going to do it. I mean, it's open borders for all. Just that's what the European Union is. It's open borders for all. Easy travel across the 22 countries or whatever it is. That's how it's going to be between United States, Mexico, and Canada. So it's an economic merger of the three countries. And then the last thing that's really important that I want to cover, and this is all part of the Agenda 2030 and Paris Agreement stuff, unlike NAFTA, NAFTA that did not have this, there is a chapter in USMCA on the environment. And it states in the environmental chapter that the purpose of USMCA is the furtherance of sustainable development. So Trump can go out there and say, I'm against climate change, global warming's fake, but he then goes and signs the document stating that as a nation, we're going to focus on fighting climate change because sustainable development is the strategy put out by the United Nations to fight climate change. So for those of you that have watched my videos on the Grindall 61 channel for years and years and years, you saw all the crap that they were doing in my city. You're going to now see that not only on a local level, but it's going to be pushed on a national level. So and so like I said, that's the psy-op. The psy-op was coronavirus, impeachment. I mean, come on, impeachment. I mean, we all knew they were never going to oust this guy. He just got acquitted today. Today, it just happened. And in the middle of all of that, this bill got signed, and nobody's talking about it. You don't see the TV talking about it. None of the supporters are talking about it. The haters aren't talking about it. It got passed in the dark of night, and it's just going to be one of those like, oh, I guess Trump's going to be talking about it. But as he's talking about it, no one's going to know what it is. And they'll only know what it is when he goes, oh, I redid NAFTA. And his red hat wearing supporters are going to go, yay, this is what we voted for. No, this is not what you voted for. You did not vote for an economic merger of Canada, United States, and Mexico. And then let's throw the Paris Agreement in there, because that's what's in there. Man. This is why Trump had to be installed into office, because if Hilary Clinton would have went out there,
she couldn't have gotten none of this.
She wouldn't. Well, because back then
people would be all freaked out.
USMCA and NAFTA would have never been the issue, because she was not campaigning.
The national ID card wouldn't have got off the ground. People would be freaking out. But this guy, everybody loves it now.
The NAFTA issue was not an issue in the Democrat campaign. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was the issue, and there was already a huge groundswell of people against it.
And now he just repackaged it.
And so, yeah. So the point that I wanted to make that I forgot is in the USMCA document, it states that there is going to be the creation of a USMCA unelected international commission that will comprise of representatives from the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And this commission, well, there's two things I want to say about this commission. The first one being
is the commission will have the ability to alter the USMCA deal at any time. So if you watch Sean Hannity or you see a Trump speech, you're going to hear them say that it's good for the farmers, it's good for the American worker. However, this commission once formed, and this commission is forming immediately. This is not something that's going to happen 5 or 8 years down the road. They are forming this commission immediately, as in this year. This commission will have the ability to take anything that is actually good in the agreement and essentially scrap it. We have given up our authority as a nation to this commission. The other thing this commission will have the ability to do is it will supersede Congress on all matters relating to Canada, Mexico, and USMCA. And if you know what the European Union is, there is a European Union Commission, which is just like this USMCA Commission. And that's why all the countries in Europe lost their sovereignty when the European Commission was formed, because the European Commission had the ability to tell these governments what they can and cannot do and how much restitution they have to pay in taxes, fees, and whatnot. And as I stated in the live stream, the USMCA is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's just been rebranded, renamed, and instead of having Asian countries, we have North American countries. So this international commission, this is the crux of the entire deal. It's about giving up our authority and our sovereignty to rule over ourselves. And now individuals that none of us have ever heard of from within our country, as well as Mexico and Canada, will be able to vote on policies that will affect you here in the United States.